Hey, welcome back to the BGX podcast. My name is Phil, as always, and my guest today is Brys from GameHeadGeek. How you doing, Brys? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. Hey, it is great to have you on. Appreciate you making the time today. Why don't you start off, just kind of tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a board game enthusiast, and I like to make silly videos on TikTok and Instagram and talk about games I like to play or what I've been playing type stuff. So,
I guess you could call me a game head at this point, but been watching your page for a little bit here, and it's been great to see the growth.
well, thank you. Yeah, that's definitely always the challenge is getting the growth out of whatever you're trying to do. I mean, with having a podcast. So,
So tell me, how'd you get into to making a TikTok about board games? I mean, obviously a little bit niche, but what inspired you to get started with that?
I wanted to do YouTube videos, but I didn't. That always seemed like a big ordeal. And my brother's like, you should watch TikTok. There's some board game stuff on there. I was like, what? And so I went on there and I was like, hey, I could do like a minute video. That's not tough. It's better than trying to do like a half-hour video. Like nobody wants to sit there and listen to me talk.
Right.
So I started doing videos. I started off with like top fives, like my top five dexterity games and that type of stuff. And then I kind of went into the little fad of like just doing the trendy videos, but with board games in mind.
Yeah, that's awesome. So who are some of the influencers that you followed right off the bat that kind of, inspired you to get started?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be really bad with their names, but there was a couple. Wusa Board Gaming
Uh-huh. Yeah, Wusong, yeah.
at Wusong, he actually helped me out quite a bit when I first started. Like I was like, hey, I love your stuff, but I have some questions. I'm trying to do some stuff, and he was really helpful. And he always comes on and pops on and puts comments in my deal. So I really appreciate that because I know he's got a pretty big following. I also follow she just started working for Portal Games on their TikTok.
Oh, okay.
And then Brain in a Jar. I've actually gone on, she's actually come on and done like a live with me when I first hit 1,000. So it was really cool. But I followed them right off the bat, and they were probably the top three people that were doing stuff in TikTok.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I actually did a podcast with Raina last week.
Yeah,
So she's awesome, man. She
yeah, she is. She's
definitely
really cool.
supportive of the community for sure.
Yep.
That's awesome. So, what about board games in general? I mean, how did you get into the hobby? What was sort of your backstory before that?
Me getting into gaming, I was back in like 2012. My girlfriend, now my wife, we would always have like a game night with my brother and his girlfriend, which is now his wife. But we kept playing like Monopoly and Scrabble and stuff like that. And I was like, there's got to be something better out. And so I started doing research, and I had come across Tabletop with Will Wheaton.
Mm.
And so I started watching that and started buying some of the games that they were showcasing there. And then I found Dice Tower, and I just went down a giant rabbit hole and now have the collection that you see behind me.
It can definitely feel like it's spiraling at times when you're when you're in buying mode for sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you look for deals as far as buying new games or buying games up?
Um, I always like to go. I mean, everybody always says go to your local friendly game store, and I do on occasion. But I did a lot more when I didn't have kids.
Yeah.
Now that I got kids, I have a house payment, car payment, family's getting bigger. Um, Amazon, Target. I also shop like Game Nerds because they usually have like a deal of the day, or they'll have some pretty good sales, or Miniature Market. But like I said, we have a local shop here. It's called Zia Comics, and they do a lot of cool stuff there too. I used to buy it, like that's actually half my collection when I started was strictly coming out of that store.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, obviously support your local game store. That is definitely the message what we promote here. But also good to look for shop around for deals, and if you're okay with used games, Facebook Marketplace can be great. Or Game Geek Market can be great. So lots of places to look now.
There's actually even I'm not sure if you've seen some of my videos where I've actually, because I live in New Mexico, we actually will drive to Tucson. There's a a couple stores out there called Bookman's,
Okay.
and you can actually trade in games, and then they'll give you store credit, and then you can buy used games. And so I'll usually go with a big stack of games, and I'll come back with a big stack of games. So
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Sort of the GameStop model for board games, right?
exactly, yeah.
That's awesome. So, what are some of your favorites right now? What are favorite games that you're getting back to the table?
Um, I just picked up Trapper Keeper, which was a Prospero Hall game, and it's a quick little card set collection game that you're doing. And my buddy had it, and I borrowed it so me and my wife could play. We've played it multiple times, so I was like, I'm pretty sure I need to buy a copy of this for myself. So, Trapper Keeper's been hitting the table a lot lately. Um, a game that usually hits the table a lot in my house is Tumbling Dice, just because I have little kids, and so dexterity games are kind of the thing that we can get to the table where everybody can play. But if I had to go with my game group, it would be stuff like right now we're in playing the legacy game Queensdale.
Okay.
So that's been hitting the table a lot, and then we've been trying to go through our shelf of shame. So it's tough trying to manage all of that and still keep multiple games coming back, but
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Keeping the kids engaged, man, is tough. I've got a 4-year-old and a 6-month-old, so he's not quite there yet. Yeah, he's just reaching for the components. He's not really interested in playing. But the 4-year-old is at the age where now, if my wife and I sit down to play, he's like, "Well, I'm playing too." He's right there with us. So it's definitely a challenge to find games that can keep him engaged for more than about one round.
Like I said, dexterity games always help out, especially at that age. That's been kind of our bigger deals. Even like Yeti and My Spaghetti. It's not very fun for you, but it keeps them entertained, and they're always super lucky. My daughter, she'll just grab whatever spaghetti noodle and she'll pull it out, and that Yeti stays on there.
Yeah.
And I sit there try to focus, and I'm like, it falls every time.
Yeah, I love that. So tell me about your game group. You said you guys play on a pretty regular basis.
We do. We play every other Wednesday. And just depending, like I said, sometimes we'll pull out a legacy game, and then we'll play that for a couple weeks straight, and then we'll either get tired of it, because I mean that's always the thing with legacy games. You just like, it's the same thing constantly over and over. So we'll switch it up with like, let's get some things off our shelf of shame, or let's play this other legacy that we had. We had actually a couple legacies where we had Queensdale, and then we had Betrayal on House on the Hill legacy. Okay. So we were switching between those just to kind of keep it fresh a little bit. But yeah, we try to play at least every other week. And then one of my friends from there will usually play every Friday, because we both have the day off, and I don't have kids and he's off. So we can sit there and learn some games. So that way, when we do get with the group, we already kind of have the rules kind of figured out before we start introducing it.
Yeah, that's always the moment of terror, I would say, when the group's like, "Oh, let's play that game," and you haven't read the rules yet. It's like,
yeah,
okay, give me 10 minutes. Let me figure it out first. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, let me just reread this. It's been a while since we played it, but I got it. Give me a second.
Right, because you never want to say no. Like, hey, if the group's down, let's play. But also, okay, I got to figure that one out.
And what I've been finding more and more that's been helping me is a lot of the games that have solo or like a 2-player variant. It's nice that you can play both hands, but then you can even learn it just right there. And that's been helping me out a lot too with teaching and stuff. Yeah,
you at least learn how the game flows and what does the turn look like, that kind of thing. And then now just add more chaos for when the rest of the group's there, right?
Yes.
So let's talk shelf of shame. I mean, that's a big topic on TikTok right now. It seems it's going around. So how big is your shelf of shame right now, if you're willing to say?
It's probably at least 30 games.
Okay. Hey, I've got everybody beat. So just so you know, like, almost every game behind me is still on the shelf of shame. So I've got everybody beat right now. So you're all good.
It's actually gotten better.
Okay.
I know when I first started, I was like, you know what? I'll show my shelf of shame. and like double stack games all the way up. It was as tall as I am, and I'm 6 foot. So it was a lot. But when I started figuring out and playing more solo games, I was like, okay, what has a solo variant? And so then I started pulling those off the pile, and at least I was able to get it off my shelf of shame.
Right.
But I have a question for you. What do you deem shelf of shame?
Any game that you own but you have not played. That's to me, that's shelf of shame.
Okay, see, because so I had it like that, and my friends were like, don't do that to yourself. Like, if you've played our copy, that shouldn't be on your shelf of shame. That could go up. So I was like,
oh, okay, yeah. I mean,
I kind of pushed back on it, but finally I was like, looking at my shelf of shame, I was like, yeah, no, I need to start doing that because I've played at least 6 of those games. They haven't been my copy,
right.
But I've played it.
Yeah, so. I mean, yeah, I think if you played somebody else's copy, that count. That's good enough. That counts. Right. I mean, leave yours unpunched. It's fine.
Yeah,
better resell.
Well, and the funny thing is though, like, I'm really bad about when I buy a game, and that's why I started doing unboxing videos. Is I never wanted them to sit and shrink, because if they sat and shrink, to me that was just like, then why even do it? At least if they're unwrapped and they've all been punched and they're ready to go, then that's just me needing to take it off and read the rules.
Right.
So anytime I get a brand new game, like I have 2 games that just came in. I got the Grinch, Merry Grinchmas, and Elf, because they were having Prospero Hall sell on Amazon last week. So I picked both those games up for like $20.
Yeah, nice.
So, but like, as soon as we get done with this, I'm probably going to film 2 videos of me unboxing them and going through all the components and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got. I don't know if you've been watching my page at all. I got a huge lot from Facebook Marketplace 2 days ago.
I'd seen that
$270 lot. So I got a lot of games to get through.
I could only imagine going through that. See, and it's always one of those, like, I always feel jealous because where I live, it's not a very big gaming community, and we all kind of know each other. So we usually are trading games and stuff like that. But there's never been anything where like someone's selling like a giant lot that's not 3 or 4 states away from, like, there's no way I could go pick that up. But that's amazing. I would go spend the money to go do that.
Yeah, he had to ship it from Texas, actually, the guy I bought it from, and it had Gloomhaven in it. So I mean, the box was like 48 pounds. Like, it was an enormous box, the biggest box he said that he could find at Home Depot, and he had to he had opened Dixit and moved some of the components to a different box so he could fit some of the expansion boxes and Carcassonne inside of the Dixit box. Like, he had it all kinds of like Tetris in there. He got it in there though, and it all arrived unscathed, thankfully. But yeah, definitely the awesome. biggest purchase I've made so far, and it was exciting to unbox that one.
So how many games did you get out of that? I didn't see the.
I think that there were 12. I'm pretty sure.
12.
Yeah, if you include expansions, like I got 2 Fog of Love expansions. I got a.
Oh, see, yeah, that.
Yeah, Gloomhaven expansion. There were a couple expansions that came built in with as well.
Had you played Gloomhaven yet, or anything?
I have not, and this version is totally unpunched. Like, no.
Oh, wow, really?
It's got vinyl stickers in it, so you can remove them and stuff. I don't know if that's standard, but it's totally unpunched. The foam is still all wrapped around all the pieces. So, yeah, I need to find some people who will play it with me, because I mean, it has a solo mode, but
yeah, you could play it solo, but it is a little bit more fun with friends.
Yeah.
But when you get that, I still haven't done it to mine. And after you unpunch everything, the box lid is going to stick up about this high off.
Oh, really?
It won't stick. Yeah. My buddy just went and bought I think it's called folded spaces, or those like foam core inserts for it.
Yeah.
And he says everything fits in there perfect. And he's like, otherwise it is such a hassle to try to baggy everything and stick it back in, because that thing is going to stick up so much higher because of when you get to those punch boards, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right now they're all on top, and I like lifted like a whole Bible of punch boards out to check everything out. So, yeah, but I'm looking forward to getting it to the table. I gotta find a group that will play serious games. Like, my only groups right now want to play like, oh, let's play Ticket to Ride again. Like, okay, like that's fine. Okay, I don't mind playing Ticket to Ride, but you know, the deeper, more strategic games. Another one I got recently was Nostrum. And I started watching YouTube videos of it because when it shipped, they didn't bag any of the components. So it arrived and literally everything was just mixed together. And it's like it's like Risk. It's like a bunch of little tiny pieces.
Yeah.
And they're all just jumbled up in there, all the colors. And I made a video about it. I opened the box and I'm like, you really just like 5 sandwich baggies, and this could have been a lot easier, but
yeah.
Anyway, so I had to sort the whole thing. So as I'm sorting it, I took everything out of the insert, and then I had no idea where anything went. So I had to go watch videos of like people unboxing it, so you can see build to see where everything goes. So
I'm not gonna lie, I wish there was something that game companies did more of. There's been a couple, like I know my Return to Dark Tower. It has like a little like, this is how all the pieces go back in once you pull it out. And I'm just like, it's such a little thing. And yeah, I know it costs money for them to print that and put it in there. But when you got a lot of stuff like that, you really need to have like another manual of how that stuff works.
Goes back. Any kind of complicated insert, like if your insert has more than about maybe 4 or 5 holes in it, like then at least put a picture on the rule book
or a logo
box,
or something.
Like the box without a top on it, just so that at least you can kind of get like, okay, I kind of see where things go, sort of. I totally agree with you, because it's it was so frustrating. Like, why do I have too many coins for this? Like, it was very, very obnoxious to try and fit it all in. Yeah. So as I was doing that and sorting the box, then I just let a tutorial play, like a let's play play. And the whole time I'm like, I stopped sorting because I'm so enthralled with this game. I'm like, I got to get this to the table. This looks amazing. So it's like Risk 3.0, like, take Risk and then add social and other elements to it and make it more interesting, where it's not just dice rolling. So
no, that's awesome. Yeah. But I'm trying to think of the last game I had that where I opened it up, because like I said, I buy used games at the Bookman's. And sometimes you can get lucky and they'll be all bagged or anything like that. And sometimes it's literally just like they took out all their baggies because they wanted to hold on to those, which I understand. And it's just components and everything all over the place. You're like, I'm going to deal with this tomorrow.
Well, the worst to me is garage sale games, because I got a lot from a garage sale one time. I think it had 26 games in it, and it was for like $40, like dirt cheap prices. And I mean, they weren't great games, but party games. There were some Monopoly versions, that kind of thing. And it was fine. It was like a typical garage sale lot. So I got the whole thing. And I got it home, and as I'm starting to open them all, like all the boxes are sort of like, they have texturing on the outside. And I'm like, what in the world is this? It was roach poop. And the boxes were all full of dead roaches. I mean, it was disgusting. I spent so long cleaning so many components that I probably should have just thrown them all away and just taken the loss, but I was like, no, I'm getting my money's worth. I paid $40. I got to get my money's worth. So, man, it was awful though. I mean, I went through, at least 30, Lysol wipes and all kinds of different things. And some components I just like, nope, like this goes on your face. Throw in the trash. We're never doing this,
You're a braver soul than I. Like, as soon as I would have figured out what it was, I'd be like, yeah, I just threw $40 away. I guess.
Right. my vacuum got a lot of use. I had my little stick vacuum, so open the box, vacuum out all the dead roaches, and then start to sort components and clean them as we go. But yeah, it was terrible. So
I do deliveries and I do installs of electronics. And some person had brought out one time a sound bar that's been sitting in their garage, and it was just covered. And so when you're telling me this, all I could think of is that sound bar that I had to pull out, and there's roaches still, like there's still roaches alive in that thing. So I pulled it out and they just scurried all over it. And then like when you're taking out the power cords, I was like, yeah, what's all this like texture to it? It's just all the roach poop and stuff on there. Like, nope, can't do it.
It's literally the worst thing I have ever done. For the love of board games, right?
Oh my gosh.
but I mean, there were some good games in there. So fortunately, I was able to salvage them and clean them, the ones without paper components. So man, but that was that was the absolute worst. Well,
Oh my
tell me about
gosh.
your day job. You said you do install for electronics.
Yeah, so I work for a major retailer that does that's all they do is sell electronics, and I go out and install, mount TVs, that type of stuff. So set up Wi-Fi networks. So um yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it allows me to buy more board games.
There you go.
So it gets
That's
the
that's what you
I
need out of a job, right?
yeah, like I enjoy it because I get to talk about electronics, which is also another one of my little passions. That I mean, that's why I started working at that for that company to begin with. Um, but it's always funny though when I go in and someone has like a couple board games like Ticket to Ride or something like that, and then I start geeking out with them and stuff like that, and like, oh, you should check this game out, you should check this out, or but it's very rare when I find that.
Right, for sure. So I got a weird question for you off the cuff. What is the most obscure game that you have in your collection that probably nobody has ever heard of before?
So my buddy actually designs board games, and this is not one of his, but he had run into somebody, and they're like, "Hey, we saw that you liked our game, and so here's like a couple extra copies because he works at the local gaming store here." And so, like, maybe you could sell it at your store. So this thing is still in wrap. I have never taken it out, but it is called Reggae Revolution. I
I
have
like
no idea. I've yeah, it was self-published. Um, all the components are made in the USA. I'm pretty sure they went on to maybe I know there's a couple websites where you could just throw in all your artwork and they will then print it and send you like they print the boxes, everything like that. So I've never opened it up because he's like, here, you can have this game. And then I was like, why don't you play? He's like, you can have this game. Here you go. So that is probably something not a lot of people will have.
Yeah, no, I love it because I love collecting, of course, and just kind of seeing the oddballs on people's shelves and that kind of thing. So
So that would be the most like obscure game that I'm pretty sure nobody would really have.
right,
But one that I did like was I had bought a game off of the Game Crafter, and it was called This House is Haunted. And there's some YouTube videos and stuff if you ever want to take a look at it, but it's like this deck of cards and it's a party game. And what you're supposed to do is turn off all the lights in your house, and then like you can put candles up or just have like you have one section where lights are okay. So everybody's supposed to bring their own flashlight. But then you can go to you at least have to have 5 rooms that you can go into, and there'll be a deck of cards in there. And pretty much what you're trying to do is like an exorcist of a ghost, or actually of a demon that's in this house. And slowly but surely, the demon can possess somebody, because if you get so many demon cards, you get possessed. And you're not supposed to show your cards of what you get when you go in there. So then it turns into a social deduction game, because then the demon is now trying to get you to fail the exorcism and like open a portal to hell in this house. And but you have to get up. You have like all the lights are off. You could use your flashlight on your phone or something. When we did it, we like had put candles up and stuff like that to kind of give the ambiance in the room.
yeah,
The rules are really they need some working, but you can house rule a couple things. But just the overall experience is really cool, because then there's stuff like you could go in and pick up a card and says you can't leave this room until you scare the next person that comes into this room. So everybody has to go back downstairs, and then whoever's not there, then you have to send someone to go find them.
mm,
Like, okay, we sent this person to the bathroom, so go check on them. And then sometimes you'll hear like a roar and like someone screaming because they just got scared because they're hiding behind the door or something of that nature. And it was a really fun game, but it's really obscure, and it's like I said, it's not something that's printed that you can find in stores. You have to go onto the Game Crafter and pick it up.
yeah. Well, I mean, that sounds definitely, up my alley. I love games like that for parties to, get people engaged and make them a little uncomfortable sometimes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Well, that's awesome. Well, Brys, if people want to learn more about your page or find more of your content, where can they go? How can they get a hold of you and find you?
So I'm on two main places, TikTok, which is what you mentioned, and Instagram. Those are really the only two. I haven't started up a Facebook or YouTube or anything like that. Those are things to come in the near future, but it's GameHeadGeek on both. So if you just look up GameHeadGeek, if you find me on TikTok, I have links to go to my Instagram. So, but yeah, come take a look and just watch me do some silly stuff with board games and or talk about some of the board games I'm playing. So,
Well, make sure you check out Brys and become a game head yourself. And Brys, it was a pleasure to have you on the show today. Really appreciate your time.
thank you for having me, man. This is awesome.